Hello, hello. Welcome to Let's Talk About Writing. I'm super excited to be with you. And this is the third Tuesday of the month. That means we have a guest, and I cannot wait. So, Jeff, thank you for being here today with us.
Thank you for asking. Very nice to be here. Good to meet you all.
You can go start and introduce yourself. Of course, I send your bio and everything to everyone, but you can introduce yourself and start.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I am with Just Right Productions. I am a book editor, an interior design and layout, and also cover layout. And I have published a children's book approximately 7 or 8 years ago. And after doing that, it got me very interested in the process, in the publishing process, and I wanted to do some things on the other side of the fence, and I've been helping authors get their books done ever since, and it's been very, very good for me. I've got a long history of experience as a graphic designer, particularly in the printing industry. My family has a printing business out in Virginia, which I also support. So that's me in a nutshell.
This is really helpful to have that.
What's that?
No, I say it's really good. You have also the business family that printing and everything. I think it's really important.
Yes, thank you, thank you. It's been very good for all these years. It's been over 25 years since I've been doing that. And I
Wow.
understand that today, speaking to your group here, we're probably going to be going over some interior layout and design for books. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, 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 please. We want to know more.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the audience here. Have any of you published a book, or are you getting ready to write a book? Are there things about the process that you're particularly interested in, and I can help tailor that for you?
Yeah. So we have a group of we have Audrey, Diana, Leslie, and we have who is the last one? I don't know. I don't recognize the address. Diana and so yeah, guys, you can ask specific question. We had already editor and publisher, so I was asking Jeff to talk a little bit more about the layout, the inside of the book, because as an author, I struggle with that,
Mhm.
and I know we have so many people who can help us with that, and it's okay. But I love to know more. So yeah, you can say where are you in the writing process, and what question do you have, a specific question, or someone want to share?
Or I can go ahead and show you some samples, and
Oh,
as I
here
go
Audrey
along,
wants something. No,
Sure,
Audrey have a
no, I'm sharing. Hi, Jeff. Nice to
hello.
meet you. I think I might have seen you at the boot camp, but never really had a word one-on-one. So it's great to have you here. Thank you. To answer your question, I'm brand new to the process. I literally last month decided that I'm writing a book, so just started that process with Odelia. So any information is super awesome and insightful for me because I'm just starting this process. So thank you.
Okay, well, wonderful. And I do remember you from the boot camp. Good to see you again. Well, I'll give you a brief overview. I'll go ahead and start with that. For those who may or may not be familiar with the step-by-step process, my process involves consulting with the author in the beginning to find out what they're writing, why are they writing it, what their intention is. And the first phase that we go through, of course, is editing the manuscript. When the manuscript is fully edited, only then is it ready to flow into an interior layout. And here's the fun part, because there are so many different ways you can lay out a book. You have a trim size. Do you want it to be 5 by 7? Do you want it to be 6 by 8 or whatever? What kind of fonts would you like? What kind of styling would you like for your paragraphs? Are your chapters going to be on a particular style for a side of the page, or are you going to have chapters that run together like in novels and such? Will it have a table of contents? Yeah,
I have a
Sylvia.
question about the size. How do you decide on the size of the book? Because my book, I publish it twice, and two different publishers decide on two different size. So I want to know why.
Okay. Well, the sizing of a book is purely subjective, but there are some
Mm,
standards depending on the genre. For example, you'll see self-help books typically at around 5.5, 8.5. That seems to be a range for that. Fiction novels, science fiction novels tend to be a bit smaller. And you also have to take into consideration the page count. How long is the manuscript? Is it 50,000 words? Is it 100,000 words? So there are things to think about. Do you want the book could be really thick and small, but if you increase the size of the book, your page count goes down appropriately. But
mhm,
for other books like recipe books, I've seen 7 by 10
mhm.
because you want a bigger layout for that. I've done an author compilation book for a photographer who was also 7 by 10. But typically you'll find 5 by 8 or 5.5, 8.5 for
Mhm.
most books in the industry. Is that about where yours wound
Mhm.
up being?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So
I
that, of
think it's
course,
very depending. Sorry, I think it's very depending on what you are writing. Absolutely, like yeah.
yeah. So that's a note on the book size, on the trim size, as we call it.
Mhm.
So after that, it's very important because that's going to determine the style of your layout. And
Mhm.
there are things, a structure within the interior layout. You have title pages. You have what's called the front matter. Front matter involves acknowledgments, dedication, preface, forward, table of contents, and so forth. Those always come in a
Goodness.
specific order before even chapter one comes around. And a
Can
lot of,
you repeat that again slowly?
sure,
Because my
they
English is like I'm from France. Hi. So.
sure. And in the author can choose to do any of these they want, but they typically have a copyright page,
Mhm,
a dedication,
mhm,
a preface, a
mhm.
forward, a table of contents,
Oh wow.
and maybe what's called an epigraph, like maybe a little quote or a saying or a little image or a graphic,
Oh
things that
wow.
kind of lead up to the main content of the book. And this is all before we even see chapter one.
Oh wow.
Now, a lot of
I
these
have
are
part of
optional.
that.
They're all optional. Not every author puts all of those things in there.
I need to look at my book now. Just let me see.
Okay,
Oh
let's
my
take a look here.
goodness. Yeah, I have the all right reserve, blah blah blah. Like,
Okay, let me blow my screen up here. There we go. Okay, this is your copyright page. That's usually the
and I
very first
have
page.
the content, the page of,
Uh-huh.
I don't know where to. Oh, here.
Good.
Okay, and then I have the first page with just the title, of course.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. So it's a lot, and again the title twice, like one time just the title, second is with a lot of other stuff. Oh wow! I can show you. Like this is a page number 2.
Uh-huh. There you go. That's the second title page. Uh-huh.
Oh really? Okay. Yeah, the first one is just that. Okay.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. So I have the contents and I have the dedication
Yes, good.
for my to my dear mom and to my birth mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all actually in the first play, in the before the first chapter. That's what I have, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
chapter 1.
There you go. So as I said, a lot of this is
I'm
optional.
missing something.
No, it's purely optional. Some people might want
Okay.
to put a preface in there, and it's also different by genres.
Yeah,
Some
it's a
people who write
memoirs.
fiction or science fiction, you might have a prologue, for example. A self-help book might
Mm.
involve a foreword, which is typically written by someone not the author,
Oh
someone
wow.
someone in the field who can recommend the book, and they would kind of scan the manuscript, read the manuscript, and give an impression
Ah
of what they
yes.
think and kind of promote the book. So those are some things that go in the front matter. excuse me. And then we of course we get into the chapters. And as I saw on yours is styled pretty well. It's got a nice look to it.
What,
Chapter
the first chapter? I
Mhm.
picked that because I love to have my say. I love to be an annoying author.
Yeah, that's very good spacing. And it doesn't matter what side of the page that the chapters start on. But what also is typical is that you have the page numbers either along the top or the bottom, and you have the book title and or the author's name along the bottom or the top as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I have that. Yeah.
Mhm. So
Good.
once we get to the meat of the book, all the chapters are done, the story is finished, then you have what's called back matter. Now, in the back matter, sometimes people put acknowledgments. Acknowledgments can go in the front as well, in the front matter. There can be an index or a glossary or a
I have that.
bibliography.
Yeah.
So those are typical things for the back matter as well, and maybe an author contact page and how to get in touch with the author and such.
Yeah.
So if you like, I would like to share my screen and show you some
Yes,
examples.
please. I think I need to do something here now. Make host or make co-host. I don't know.
Or you could just say allow screen sharing. That might be a security setting on your end.
Oh, hello, Chimilti. Hello. No, I have make co-host or host, so I don't mind.
Okay, co-host is fine. That'll let me share.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go.
I have a note from the author at the end of my book, a note from the author, like,
Uh-huh.
and I have a contact page. I have a glossary. I have a lot of stuff.
Okay. Well, I'll give you an example here. This
Yes.
particular book that I did is a science fiction book. So there
Mhm.
are certain types of styles that go along with the genre. As you showed earlier in yours, here's the first page, just plain. There's the second one with the author's name. And
Oh,
this is the front matter here. Now, this particular book was sized at 5 by 8 because it's a
okay.
novel, and that's a good size for a novel. The ISBN is typically on here. Are you all familiar with how ISBNs work?
Yes, and I know how they work, and I would love you to explain how they work because it's super important, I think. And
Okay.
I'm sure your English will be much better.
Well, I'm sure everyone here is going along the KDP route, the Amazon book route, Kindle Direct Publishing. Now,
Yeah.
what Amazon would like for authors to do is to get they can provide an ISBN for free. But what we do is we do not recommend that because that limits you very much to exclusively being on their platform, and you are not able to publish that anywhere else. So
Yeah.
some of you seem like you've heard this before. So it's very
I
important.
had
Yeah, so Bowker, if you're familiar with Bowker, is the place to go, bowker.com,
Mhm.
to get your ISBNs. And if you have any inclination to do a book in a different format, whether
Yeah.
it's ebook, audiobook, whatever, then you're going to want to buy more than one. Or if you're going to write
I
another
bought
book,
10. I
yeah, the
bought 10
10 pack is the way to go. That's the way to go.
because every time you are doing another version of your book, you need to add one more ISBN. So one
Yeah.
ISBN is $90, I think, and 10 is 285, something like that, or 385. I don't remember. But anyway, it's like way more interesting when you are buying 10. And
Exactly.
so I'm publishing a children book, and we are doing ebook, hardcover, audiobook, blah blah blah. So every time it's one more is being going.
That's
So the
right.
10 are going really fast.
Good, good. And of course, you're able to publish on other platforms such as Ingram Spark and Barnes and Noble
Mhm.
subsequently. So you get a
Yeah.
bigger audience that way.
Yes.
So here's an example. I'll keep going through the dedication here. And this author chose to do acknowledgments in the front. And we have a little quote here on the left. Some people do that for novels. So here's an example of a certain type of styling for the interior layout. With a book like this, fiction and science fiction type of genres don't really need a table of contents because they just have breaks between their chapters. So it's not always necessary to do a table of contents. So in this case, the author ran the chapters numerically. And as you can see, as we page through the book here, the chapters break anywhere they need to on the page. You don't actually need a separate page. So this is a type of interior style for this type of a genre. And as you can tell on this one, we ran the page numbers at the bottom, along with the title of the book and the author's name. Sometimes they do them at the top. So there's no rule on that. So here's a good example. And it's great because the chapters can break wherever they want to, and you don't have to worry about trying to fit something or start it on a particular page. So there's an example of that genre. Here we have a self-help book. This was recently published about 2 months ago. You have the title page here. This is self-help. And this book size was 5.5, 8.5. So again, Odelia, like we talked about, closer to your type of genre you were talking about, it's a slightly bigger book trim. And we have different styles in here because of the nature of the content. The copyright page on the left. Now, because this author is doing self-help, it's typical and advisable to do some kind of a disclaimer on your copyright page that says, hey, we're not trying to dispense or prescribe the use as treatment, things like that. It's very important that an author state these kind of things if you're doing a self-help book, or if you're a subject matter expert, because that will protect you down the road. You're saying, hey, I'm not trying to treat you. This is just things if you might want to follow. It's up to you. So we do the table of contents. And he chose to do a preface. This is also more common in self-help books, to do a preface describing why he wrote the book, what's the goal of this book, what's his intention, how will this help you, the reader, how to use the book, and so forth. Now, this is a pretty cool style here for the chapters. In this kind of a book, you want the chapters to start on their own page. And it's also typical, if you notice, not to use a page number on the first page of a chapter. That's a standard practice as well. So you'll notice you don't see a page number at the bottom of chapter 1. So again, you have all kinds of styles that you can do. It's good if you're going to have the chapter number and then the name of a chapter that you vary the fonts. As you notice, the font for the chapter is thin and large, and then you have the name of the chapter in a bolder font. And he did something really cool. He wanted to include a quote at the beginning of each chapter. So we do that, and it's really typical to style that in italics. He also utilizes footnotes, as you can see here. All of his footnotes appear at the bottom of each page that they appear on. You can either choose to do that or save or push all of the footnotes to the end of the book in the back matter. It's really easier to see the footnote on the reference page, as you can see. So we get to the end of chapter 1 and the content is done. So the page is only about a third at the top because we want to start chapters on this type of genre on their own page. So we follow this format and we follow this design all the way throughout the book, as you can see. And there are paragraphs, subtitles. It's important too to distinguish subtitles by setting them apart from the rest of the content, the rest of the flow. So he's talking about bullying here, abuse here, substance. So the styling really helps the reader with the flow, particularly with long passages. So styling is very, very important, as you can see. And I have a third example here that I'd like to show you. This one was really cool. This is an author collaboration. There were 14 authors who contributed to this particular book. And the main author is a professional photographer. Typical, again, with the front matter here, copyright, dedication, table of contents. Now, each one of these stories in here is written by a different author. And they chose to put full color photographs in here to show off the work or to demonstrate the stories that these other authors were writing. You'll notice the foreword. Again, once this was written by someone who is not part of the project. It's written by a fellow photographer, I believe, who is promoting her and promoting the book. He gives his opinion on that. He's a Dr. Garrett. If you have credentials like that, it's very helpful to get someone to write your foreword who has credentials. It helps produce or get the book out there. Hopefully it becomes more popular. You can put that person's name on the front cover too. She chose to do acknowledgments in the front, and she has her own introduction. And the chapters are broken this way. This is another clever way to do something depending on the type of genre. Here we have the chapters all alone on their own page, and opposite the chapter is a photograph that relates to that particular chapter. So in this case, what it does to the eye with the reader, as they open the book, their eyes are going from the picture to the chapter, and they're focusing on the chapter without the distraction of any other words in the chapter. And that kind of sets the brain, prepares the brain to, hey, this is going to be really cool. This is about this particular subject. So then after that, we just, again, start chapters down from the top of the page. And drop caps are a pretty cool formatting and style design idea. The large W there, that adds a nice effect too, showing that hey, that's the start of the chapter. So we get through the stories, and at the end of each chapter, the authors had a little bio page. They had a little headshot of themselves and a little bio about what they do. So once we've established that pattern, that's what it's going to be for the whole book. It's just rinse and repeat. So as you see here, the chapter spread will always look like this: photo, chapter number, photo, chapter number, all the way through here. And the subtitles, as you can see here, The Day That Changed My Life, break it apart from the rest of the text to kind of give the eye a break as you're reading through it. This one is bold and centered. So there are all kinds of really cool styles that you can do. Also, I don't know if you noticed either, but the line spacing, the vertical spacing is called leading. And with self-help books and other types of similar books, it's important to increase the distance vertically between the lines because it's also easier to read. Now, it may not be that critical for a novel. A lot of novels, fiction, science fiction novels, that have shorter leading and shorter distance because of the different type of book. They also have a lot of dialogue too. So you don't want to have quotes spread out too far when you're reading a novel, a fiction novel. And again, we repeat the same pattern all the way through. All right, any questions on the layout samples and the formatting? Yes, go ahead. Leslie, you're muted there. There you go.
I was like, I can't unmute myself. Okay, thank you for sharing all these different styles of books. I can see that the formatting and graphic design for each one of them would be very different. Let's say you have a very straightforward novel with no footnotes, no appendix, none of that, just very straightforward, versus a book like this with color photographs, I don't know. So what is the price difference of some such hugely different books like that? I'd love to hear.
The, excuse me, the layout cost?
The layout costs, yes, thank you.
The way most layout costs are computed, or at least the way I compute it, is 1 cent per word is where you start. So let's say you have a 60,000 page manuscript, you have a 60,000 page book at a penny a word. That's about 600 for the interior layout. And then you add things as you have features a la carte. Do you have photographs? Do you have images? And there's typically a charge per image if you're going to use that. If you have a table of contents, that's an a la carte item. You're going to have footnotes. So when you start adding things like that, those are a la carted into the estimates.
So a book like this one with the color photographs, what does the layout for that cost? What did this one cost, for example?
Oh, let me see. I'm trying to remember how
If you
much
could
this.
ballpark, I'm sure you don't remember exactly, but just.
Yeah, this was only 168 pages, 100 and this was probably along the lines of $500-600 because the length of the manuscript was not huge. It was not
Mhm,
a very lengthy book.
mhm.
Also, the author provided all of these pictures for me. So they were literally, I just get them and drop them into place. So I didn't really have a lot of construction to do to it.
Okay.
That's about what this was. So the quality of the pictures doesn't really have anything to do with it.
Mhm.
It's more about, are you being provided camera ready art is what we call it in the industry, or are you actually doing some of the work yourself?
Okay.
But it all goes into the layout. So
Okay.
that's about what to expect.
That's great. And so I have lots of questions for you. I don't know if I should let others ask theirs first and come back to me. I know, how do you want to, you're back, Adelia, hello. Yay.
Yeah, I have some internet issues, so I don't know if
Uh-oh.
it will. Yeah, so I don't know if I will be here for. I will disappear. We can wait for the before we end the meeting for all the question. So if Jeff is, I don't know, where are you right now, Jeff? I'm sorry. You are still you have more to share with us, or you are.
Well, that's pretty much it for the
Okay.
overview about how it works. And
Yeah.
I wanted to show you different examples of different styles for the different genres. I'm certainly open
Okay.
to more questions. I think Leslie might have some more, but
Yeah, so let's go with
please,
Leslie for question. Yeah. Thank
Okay.
please.
you. I didn't know what happened. Sorry.
That's okay. No, glad you're back. Okay, so Jeff, you had said, okay, so first of all, so you are someone helping people self-publish. So you're not a hybrid publisher. You are helping people self-publish through KDP. Okay.
That's correct. I'm not a hybrid publisher. No, I help people get their book constructed, and I work with people, colleagues, who help them get published on Amazon or Ingram or whatever. So I walk them through the process.
Okay, and then you said you have an editor or editors that you work with. Like, how many people do you have?
Yeah, I do all that.
You do it. Okay.
We do all the editing, all the interior layout, and the cover design. I have people who can do parts of that if necessary too, but that's all under this umbrella.
So you go start to finish. Okay.
Yes.
So let's say, so like for my novel, for example, it's going to be about 90,000 words. So there's no color photographs, there's no appendix, no footnotes, pretty straightforward.
Hmm.
I would need developmental editing, probably copy editing, proof editing, because that's just standard, right?
Hmm.
What
Yes.
would you say would cost me to publish my book? Like, I have a finished manuscript for you today.
Hmm.
What would that look like?
Let's see, 90,000. Now, interestingly enough, the manuscripts always start off higher than what they wind up in the book, as you know. So if you have a 90,000 page manuscript, it's quite possible you'll be a few thousand less on the actual book itself, on the layout. So that'll adjust it downward for you as well.
Yeah.
But that's a decent size book. It's a little over average, which is really good. I would say ballpark, without looking at anything. If it sounds pretty straightforward, mostly all text, it doesn't sound like you're going to have pictures, no footnotes or glossary index, anything like that, right?
Right.
For the package for what I do, the consulting work and the guiding that I do with you and the time we spend together so that you know what to expect, all of the editing, and I do all those types of editing too. The developmental's included, the copy, the structure, and the proofing, it's all included. And to do that, plus the interior and a cover, it's typically around 5,000 for everything.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then let's say I did decide to add in some black and white photos. Would that change a lot, or would that be like a lot?
Well, that depends. For a book that size, sometimes we can just throw some things in there. If you're only going to put maybe a handful of photos in there, that's not going to be an a la carte charge. If you wanted to have photos scattered throughout, then we might talk about layout, extra layout costs. But typically it'll be about $5 to $10 a photo. It depends.
Okay, cool. That helps me a lot. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Actually, I think that was all my questions.
Okay, wonderful.
Got it.
Are you close to finishing your manuscript?
I have the outline pretty well complete, so I know where I'm going. I've established my characters and point of view, you know, who's the narrator, all of that, which was the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
It's fiction, so it's tricky, but I'm probably halfway done, but because I did the big grunt work, I feel like I'm more done than halfway. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah,
Big
there
part
you
is
go.
done. Because now I just need to sit down and write. So I'm on my way.
Well, good.
Now, okay, I guess it spurs another question for me. So let's say, Audrey said she wants to write a book, so she's coming to you with an idea.
She's writing.
She's writing. Yeah, she's writing. a
She's
book.
writing a book.
Okay.
She
So I don't know
not
where you-
just want to.
I don't know where you are in the process, but okay, or let's just say anyone, for example, comes and they're like, well, or me, you can take me. I'm halfway through. I need a writing coach. Is that something that you do as well? Like, do you? How do you handle? I know we have Odelia as our lovely writing coach, of course.
I'm doing the writing guide.
Yeah.
I'm doing the
You're the
writing
writing
guide.
guide, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad. I remember you talked to me about that, Odelia. I don't
Yeah.
actually do the writing
Don't do that.
guides or the coaching. That's usually all
But
finished
we have something
by the
in
time it comes.
common, Jeff. We
Yes,
have
what's
something in common, Jeff. The legacy. I'm the legacy writing guide.
I know.
Nice.
I love that you both have the same legacy word. Yeah, and I, you know, and I'm not stepping on your toes, Adele. I'm just wondering more full picture of what Jeff is offering, just out of curiosity. So, okay, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that would be.
And just to give you an idea also, Leslie, that goes all the way up until the point where the book is finished. And then the author has so many options. I would typically guide you or hand you to someone for the publishing, for the marketing, if you want marketing. If you want to do extra things such as bestseller campaign, you want to do a podcast, you want to do a video interview, things of that nature. Those are services beyond where I leave off.
Sure.
And I would help you, I would help point you in the right direction for those extra services.
Yeah.
There
okay.
is so many stuff before and after having a manuscript, and then all what Jeff talked about, and then other stuff we can do after. So like for me, I'm just published and I have someone who is doing all the marketing and everything. But for now, I just, marketing and everything. It's with someone specialized in marketing for a book. So it's another different. We had Veronica Jager who explained about that a few months ago. Maybe she will be back to explain about that. So
yeah, Veronica Jager. I've done work with her too. We're colleagues.
Yeah, we all colleagues. I love it.
That's right.
It's a big. Yes, Audrey. Yeah, Audrey, you mute. Audrey, can you hear me?
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
May I ask about something completely different?
Yeah,
Of
of
course.
course. Let's talk about writing.
Yeah, no, I just wonder, Jeff, if you have dealt with a translation. So once my book is ready, I am planning on having a translation in Hungarian, which is my native language. I already do have a person in Hungary who is like a translator by her, like she is a professional for that. But then once I have that Hungarian manuscript, so to say, then are there any rules around that? Have you ever dealt with anything like that? Or can I then do these steps in the US with that? Or does that have to be done in Hungary? Or do you guys know anything about this?
Okay, well, it sounds like that you're going to go through the steps to get it translated. So we're
Yes,
assuming that the translation involves editing on the Hungarian side. Whoever's translating it, that the professional editing will be done.
correct.
What you would have there is a completed manuscript ready to lay out into a book. The flow, the format is going to be the same for any book. So it would just be a matter of taking the content, flowing it in there, and making sure it breaks where it needs to. And I'm sure that those chapters would be divided and annotated as well. To me, it sounds like I've not flowed a book in another language before, but to me, it sounds like the process is identical, and the formatting and design would be
It,
pretty typical.
it's depending on the language because I have a book in Hebrew, and in Hebrew it's all opposite. It's from right to left, so
Right.
it's totally
Yeah.
different.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Yeah, we have the
Now,
same as far as that's concerned. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Is yours right to
No,
left
I
as
mean
well?
the same as
Oh.
in here. So
Okay.
it
Yeah.
would be
Now there
no
are going to be
changes.
some nuances with languages, as Odelia pointed out. Like I said, I have not laid out a book in a different language before. I think it might be challenging depending on left, right, right, left. But you might want to inquire that because it's language specific and country of origin specific, there might be certain processes in doing the actual book layout itself. So that's all
I
I could.
I I I think for me the problem was that I have a team. I had a team in Israel, and they did everything. And when we decided we are staying here, I decided to translate. And the first time it was really bad, really bad. I did have an editor, a publisher, and it was a nightmare. And so when you translate from a language to English or from English to whatever, you need to be really careful because the whole book is changing. So what I had to do is to restart everything for a specific audience because the audience here is different from the audience in Israel. And
Mhm.
so I had to restart everything and to rewrite and to hire again Cheryl Devon as my editor and Veronica Yager as my publisher. And I really think it's really important to have someone who understands your message and your voice and not just doing a translation like the first lady did and okay, it's good, it's good, it's good, because I told her don't touch my manuscript too much. I mean don't touch my voice. I don't mean I want a book really bad a really
Right.
bad translation. So I think to have a right editor and never go to publishing without editing, at least the copy, like Leslie said, copy editing and what did you say, Leslie? Copy editing and
Developmental copy and proof.
so the first one I do that with my with the writer. So we are ready to go to just the last two editing when we are ready. So I want my like the people who are working with me, I want them to be ready to just two editing, not more than that. And so never publish a book without doing editing and copy editing, never ever. And I think it's really important, don't skip that. So yeah.
Right. Very important. And with the translation, it's very important to make sure that all the nuances are kept. The original intent, as you're alluding to, Odelia, very important that that gets done on that end. So,
Yeah. And I think in Hebrew it's more like it's less word but deeper, way deeper. And in English it's a lot of word, but I cannot get to the same. For me, it's not this. So yeah, and sometimes it's not good for your readers. So I did that again for my readers because I'm here and my readers read in Hebrew in English. So I have some families that want me to translate in French. I'm like, so yeah. So Adri, anyway, you need to have an editor that understands the nuances between
Oh yeah,
the
I'm not at all
yeah, the
worried about
culture.
that because I'm a native speaker and my friend who will do this, she's like a PhD in English Hungarian. Like this is what she does for a job and she
Cool.
knows my story personally and she's a personal friend. So I would obviously read it, but I just feel like between me translating it or her, she will be much better because that's not my job.
Yeah.
Or not my
Wonderful.
profession, but
Wonderful.
obviously I would be reading it and I didn't even think about publishing because this is just for my family, but I want to hand them
Okay,
the
perfect.
same
Yeah.
looking thing. So that's why the question is mainly like, Jeff, if I gave you this new manuscript, okay, this is in Hungarian, and yes, that was exactly the question. I would most likely want the same. It's not like we would have to go through a new separate consultation. I would want the same whatever I chose for my book. Then would that potentially be an option?
Yeah, it would be an option. As I mentioned, if the manuscript is complete, it's been translated, it's ready to go, then it's just a matter of laying it out in an interior layout.
Okay. And then
Now,
are
of
we
course, the
allowed?
cover work would have to be done by a Hungarian editor as well, too. So.
Oh yeah, okay. And then since I'm very new to this, so sorry if I have really silly questions, but am I then allowed to just, without publishing it, just printing 10 copies of that for my family, or are these things just going in hand? Like you can just, okay, I worked with Jeff, he did this layout for me in Hungarian, and then I'm just, so to say, printing 10 copies of that, but this is not marketed or published or anything. And then I
Right.
just have that. Is that legally allowed to do?
Sure. You
Okay.
can print up a book just for you or your family. You could do what they call them
I
one-offs,
do
or
that.
if you want to do 10 or 20. The beauty about that is you don't have to go through the publishing process. You don't need an ISBN. You don't need a barcode. Chances are you're typically probably going to give it away. If you want to charge somebody, just do that if you want to. But there are printers who will do a handful of books for you. You can go to a printing
Okay.
company and they'll print off 10, 20, 30 books for you if you like. Now, obviously, you're going to get a better unit cost if you print more at once. But yes, you can totally do that on your own and avoid the publishing.
I have a
Awesome. Yeah.
question. I have a question about that. So first, I just publishing a book right now, and no one knows about that, guys. So you are the first one to hear about it.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a children book. And by the way, so my publisher, another one, it's not Veronica, it's Susan. And she told me something crazy about what you say about the barcode, because when I put that on KDP, I said my cover have a barcode, like doesn't have a barcode. And she said, no. It's like what you explained about the ISBN. So you need to have a barcode on your cover.
Yep.
And you need to put, yes, I have my barcode on my cover. So it's really important, because when I started with my book the first time, You Are Allowed, it was a nightmare, because a lot of bookstore, a lot of library, a lot of people, they were like not interested in the book because it was a ISBN from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Right.
just, no, we don't want that. So if it's with your ISBN and you are the publisher, I am the publisher, I have my publishing company, but I'm not doing publishing stuff, guys. So don't worry, go to Jeff for that. I'm not doing it. I don't want to deal with that. Go to Jeff. I'm just, but I have my LLC, and it's a publishing LLC, just for putting my book on Amazon on my publishing LLC company, because it's look really bad when people see self-published on Amazon. It's much better if you can have a LLC and whatever name, publishing LLC, just for your book. So I have that, and I have a logo just for my books. So it's everything is just for not being like self-publishing. I have my yeah. So I can explain more about that on next month, on the first Tuesday of the month. We can go through all that together. Of course, I will give you all you have Jeff email or maybe not, but I will send it again. And so if you have more questions for Jeff, I just have one last question, Jeff, about printing. So when I'm printing my children book now for on Amazon, it's so expensive. Oh my goodness. And I
Wow.
have and I have a book launch next month in actually exactly 1 month. And it's so expensive. So do we have other solution, or we have to go through Amazon? And
Well, if I can ask, are we talking hardcover? I'm wondering why the cost would be really high. Is it a hardcover? Is it a pop-up book? What are the
now it's
features of
just
the book?
a paper. How do you say that? Paper book,
The
paper
paperback
copy.
book? Is it a novel?
No, it's a children book. So
Is
a
it
lot
a
of picture.
Picture.
lot of pictures? Okay, so you had an illustrator do all those pictures, yeah.
Yeah. I have an illustrator. She did everything. I have one illustrator. She's amazing, but the problem is to print that. It's so expensive because it's a lot of color and about a lot of picture. So
Yeah,
it's crazy.
if it's full color, that's typical. Full color printing on Amazon will be that makes a big difference. Yeah, so your retail needs to cover that retail cost. So you have an
Yeah.
author's
And
cost.
if I
Yeah, you have an author's cost. Let's say, for example, your author's cost is maybe Amazon charges you $12 a book for your author cost. Your retail should be they charge you $6. Okay. Yeah, so you want your retail to have enough cushion in there so that you can have a good royalty margin. So for
okay.
something like that, maybe $20 to $25 retail might help you offset the cost
Oh, it's a
of your
lot.
print cost. Yeah, I know, but again, it's up to you and your royalty fees. Like for example, my children's book is full color, but it's very thin, and
Me too.
I charge $10 retail for that. So
Okay.
my royalty is not very much, but
No, mine
it
mine
doesn't
either.
cost that much to print it either. Amazon doesn't charge that much to print it. So yeah, it's just you have
Okay.
to play with the numbers and find a margin that you're comfortable with.
Okay. Now, but can we print that? Like, I have an option to print that somewhere else, or it will be the same price?
You can print it somewhere else. As a matter of fact, I printed up 200 copies locally by a printer so that I could do my book signing, and I had 200 books printed that I kept and that I took with me for the book signing and sell them
Not
to
what
friends.
I need.
Yeah, sell them to friends,
Yeah.
but there are printing places around here that you can go to, and they can quote you how much they would charge to do.
Okay, so I need
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Leslie.
Well, let me look. I could probably give you the names of a couple of printers.
That was gonna be one of my questions, is we'd love to hear those printers, because that's super interesting that we can have print a children's book locally. I never even thought you could do that. I thought you had to go through traditional publishing or Amazon KDP. So thank you for those printer names. And number two, how much is Amazon charging you to print your children's story? Do you remember that offhand? Because you're
Me?
charging $10? No, for Jeff. Like, so how much is it costing you?
Ah,
What is your
Oh, my retail is $10. Every time somebody buys my book, I get $2.35.
okay, so it's costing you a bit as well. You're just not making the bigger margin.
Oh yeah, the authors are not going to make big royalties because I
we
mean
are
they're
not
doing
doing a lot
everything
of
for you.
money, Leslie.
They're doing the advertising, the marketing. They give you the platform. They're printing it up. So
That's
Yeah,
why
'cause
you
I've been
need.
told-
That's what you need to.
Yeah, I've been told, because I've also written a children's book. How fun that we've all, yay,
cool.
children's picture books. And they're like, go with your novel. It's much easier than a children's book. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a children's book. And now the more I find out, the more I understand, children's picture books are complicated, right?
Yeah.
But you can do so many more stuff. I have another friend, and I will ask him to be here next month. I know Jeff and Audrey. You know him, Richard. is doing so amazing stuff with children book, like
Yeah.
after you publish. So it's for blind children and all kind of ebook and audiobook and crazy stuff. So I know, like, if you put that on Amazon and that's all, you won't be doing much with your book. Like with my book, I need to do so many more stuff with marketing. I started with Veronica, and with my children book, I need to talk with Richard, and for my next book, blah blah blah. So it's a lot of. It's not something like you start and you up. We don't. It's never ending, guys. So
Right. It can take a while. I mean, from start to finish.
Yeah.
Depending on the book and the length, I mean, this could go anywhere between 4 and 6 months from start to finish, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jeff, I'd also love to hear about your person that you said you then hand people off to your marketer, your person who's in charge of marketing. I'd love to hear about that too, because I'm curious to know about marketing once I make this plunge. But
Sure. Well, I have just added Veronica Yeager to
Oh,
to
perfect.
that line. So she's one of the folks that I would
Yeah.
steer in that direction, and I've got about 4 people that I could refer to, depending on their workload and what kind of services they require.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
Veronica with marketing, she's amazing, like crazy,
Yeah.
amazing. Like,
Yeah.
she's amazing.
She's awesome. She's awesome. And are you all familiar with the organization CIPA, C-I-P-A? Colorado Independent Publishers Association? I also use someone there also. Her name is Mary, that also
Okay.
does the publishing services and helps with marketing. So there are a few people that I've used for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really important to. I have also a lot of people. So I think with Jeff, he has a lot of people. I have a lot of people. And so I think it's really important to have a choice, but to have someone you really resonate with. You know, we have a good connection. And believe me, when I started, I didn't, like, I was like, okay, I need to an editor, I need a publisher, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. So I lost a lot of money and a lot of time, guys. And I think it's really, really important to find the right editor as the right publisher for you. So you have Jeff, you have a lot of other people. I'm no, I don't want to do the publishing stuff. So you're good. But I will send you an email with Jeff email for the publishing. I will send you Veronica Yeager for the, and of course you are more than welcome to ask Jeff for other marketing people. I recommend Veronica and Tamara. I don't know if Jeff knows Tamara, but that's what I recommend. And for editing, I recommend Cheryl Devon. But again, it's depending on you. Not you have to choose the right person for you. So.
Yeah, I'm also going to be working with Cheryl. That's going to be a good collaboration too.
Cheryl is I'm personally working just with her. Like, no one touched my manuscript.
Yeah, she's
But
great.
I'm really hard. I'm a really hard person when I'm writing. I'm so different. When I'm guiding, I'm super yeah. No, I'm serious too. But when it's about my book, I'm crazy. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so annoying. Like, oh my goodness, you don't want to be my publisher, Jeff. No, I'm kidding. Maybe we will see. Anyway, Diana, I want to say hi, friend. I want to ask Diana if she has a question or something to say before we go.
I don't really have any questions.
You're so pretty.
I'm just a sponge, soaking it all in and learning, and yeah.
Okay, well, good.
So, okay. Last question, anyone?
This was so helpful. Thank you, Jeff and Odelia. Like, it's just, yeah, so good to know all this. It all makes sense.
Well, you're very welcome, and it was very nice to meet all of you here.
Yeah, super helpful. Thank you so much, Jeff.
You're welcome. Reach out anytime with questions.
Yeah, I will send you email to all the ladies here, and few ladies are watching the recording. So thank you for being with us. Let's talk about writing, how to write and to publish a book. And I will see you guys next month on the.
Thank
I
you
don't
all.
know.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Have a perfect
you.
day. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you tomorrow, Audrey.